Eureka Tents, operated by Johnson Outdoors, has produced several different versions of the Eureka Solitaire since it was first brought to market. Mainly, these tents varied in terms of how their fiberglass poles connected to the tent body. Some used grommets, some had pins, etc. The fiberglass poles were absolutely garbage, by the way, but I'll get more into that in a bit. Fast forwarding to present day, the latest iteration, the Solitaire AL, has been updated with flashy new colors and an aluminum pole set. Keep in mind though that the older yellow and black version of the tent is still available from some suppliers, and other than what I've just mentioned, these two tents are virtually identical. Same dimensions, same material, same everything. Hi, I'm Josh. Welcome. Here's what I like and dislike about the Eureka Solitaire, as well as a few closing suggestions. Likes: compact, lightweight-ish, and affordable. I've owned the Eureka Solitaire for many years and used it in environments far beyond what the tent was intended for, such as on glaciers and mountaineering trips. Not that I recommend that. Also, I did swap the fiberglass poles it came with for a custom-made set of Easton aluminum poles, so effectively my own tent is a Solitaire AL. The Eureka Solitaire serves well as a cross between a bivy bag and a small solo tent. Some even refer to it as a bivy tent, which I feel is accurate. Having previously used bivy bags quite a bit, I tend to find them uncomfortable and actually pretty terrible when it's wet outside. This of course comes with the trade-off benefit that they allow you to sleep pretty much anywhere, require zero setup, and are extremely lightweight. Now, tents on the other hand, comfortable as they can be, tend to require a lot more space for setup and are generally heavier and bulkier. The Solitaire and Solitaire AL combine the advantages of both the options I just mentioned, and at a footprint size that's roughly the same as a large oversized bivy bag. When you're adventuring in rocky terrain or densely vegetated areas, it can actually be pretty difficult to find a suitable tent site, so for me, this is where the Solitaire delivers the most value. By the way, if you like this video, you should really subscribe. It's free, so why not, right? The Solitaire AL weighs in at about 3 pounds 3 ounces, and the Solitaire, with fiberglass poles, slightly less than that. That's relatively lightweight when compared to most solo tents, but it's important to keep in mind the trade-off you're making, which I'll get into shortly. Both the Solitaire and Solitaire AL are made of nearly identical polyester taffeta with floor sizes of 96 by 32 inches and internal peak heights of 28 inches. Again, the only real, albeit significant difference is the aluminum poles on the AL. Like most tunnel tents, they set up quick and easy, but there is a bit of a learning curve when it comes to doing this properly. I also like the rollback fly that both models have, which provides the option of loading and unloading the tent through a zip-open hatch in the mesh inner. In drier climates, this is also great for stargazing. At only about $110 US, this tent is a particularly great option for those on a limited budget or for someone just getting into backpacking for the first time. As an interesting point of tent history, Eureka offered a tent called the Eureka Gossamer several decades ago, which as far as I can determine was the predecessor to the yellow and black colored Solitaire. The two tents were pretty much one and the same, except for the fact that the Gossamer came with an aluminum pole set, just like the modern AL version. And now my dislikes. Limited applications. Due to its budget-friendly nature and Spartan size, the Eureka Solitaire does have limited applications in terms of the type of adventures that it's suitable for. The tent is just fine for fair weather situations, but when it's cold and wet outside, it's really not very comfortable. The reason for this is because you have to do most of your camp and bedtime activities out in the open due to the lack of any sort of vestibule. Because it's an entry-level product made from entry-level materials, I suggest not using the Solitaire on any sort of trip where shelter is mission critical, such as frosty winter trips or in exposed alpine environments. Basically, don't do what I did. As I was making this video, I learned that Johnson Outdoors unfortunately will be exiting its Eureka product lines. This is a real shame, as the brand has been around for well over 100 years. In fact, the first tent I ever bought nearly 20 years ago was a Eureka Backcountry 1, and so the brand really does hold a special place for me. However, if you're in the market for a new tent and looking for a great deal, now might be a good time to go with Eureka as they move to liquidate their inventory. If you found this tent video helpful, then I think you'll also find this other gear video helpful as well.